Chapter 8. I'm sprawled on the computer desks in the common room at 8:21 a.m. on Monday with Becky raving on about how cute Ben Hope was at Lauren's. That was 6 days ago, for God's sake, when someone bellows with extreme resonance from the door. Has anyone seen Tori Spring? I wake from the dead. Oh, Christ. Becky roars my location across the air, and before I have time to hide under the desk, Zelda or Cora is standing in front of me. I flatten my hair, hoping it will shield me from her dictatorial intervention. Zelda wears full makeup to school every day, including lipstick and eyeshadow, and I think she might be certifiably insane. Tori, I'm nominating you for Operation Inconspicuous. It takes several seconds for this information to register. No, you are not, I say. No. No. Yes, you haven't got to say. The deputy heads voted on who they wanted in Year 12. What? I slump back onto the desk. What for? Zelda puts her hands on her hips and tilts her head. We're facing a crisis, Tori. She speaks way too fast and in extremely short sentences. I don't like it. Higgs is facing a crisis. A team of 8 prefects just isn't going to cover it. We're upping the stakeout ops team to 15. Operation Inconspicuous is a go. Tomorrow. 0700. I'm sorry, what did you just say? We've come to the conclusion that most of the sabotage must be happening during the early hours, so we're staking out tomorrow morning. 0700, you better be there. I hate you, I say. Don't blame me, she says. Blame Solitaire. She clip-clops off. Becky, Evelyn, Lauren and Rita are all around me. Lucas too. I think he's one of our lot now. Well, you're obviously in the teacher's good books, says Becky. Next thing you know, they'll be making you an actual prefect. I shoot her a look of severe distress. Yeah, but if you were a prefect, you could skip the lunch queue, says Lauren. Fast food, man. And you could give your sons detentions whenever they're being too cheerful. What did you even do to make the teachers like you? Asks Becky. You don't exactly do much. I shrug at her. She's right. I don't do much at all. Later in the day, I pass Michael in the corridor. I say pass, but what actually happens is he shouts, Tori, so loudly that I manage to drop my English folder on the floor. He lets out this deafening laugh, his eyes scrunching up behind his glasses, and he actually stops and stands still in the middle of the corridor, causing 3 Year 8s to bump into him. I look at him, pick up my folder and walk right past. I'm in English now, reading Pride and Prejudice. Now that I've reached chapter 6, I've established that I hate this book with a profound passion. It's boring and cliched, and I constantly feel the urge to hold it over a lit match. The women only care about the men, and the men don't seem to care about anything at all. Except Darcy, maybe. He's not so bad. Lucas is the only person I can see who is reading the book properly, with his calm and quiet expression, but every so often he checks his phone. I scroll through a few blogs on my own phone under the desk, but there really isn't anything interesting on there. Becky is in the seat next to me, and she's talking to Ben Hope. Unfortunately, I can't avoid them without moving to a different seat or leaving the class or dying. They are playing dots and boxes in Ben's school planner. Becky keeps losing. You're cheating, she exclaims and attempts to grab Ben's pen. Ben laughs a very attractive laugh. They have a small wrestling match over the pen. I try not to throw up or dive onto the table from sheer cringe. In the common room at lunch, Becky tells Evelyn all about Ben. At some point, I interrupt their conversation. What happened to Jack? I ask her. Jack who? She says. I blink at her and she turns back to Evelyn. Chapter 9. Dad gets me to school at 6:55 a.m. the next day. I am in a trance. In the car, he says, maybe if you catch them in the act, you'll get a community award. I don't know what a community award is, but I feel that I'm probably the least likely person in the world to get one. Zelda, her prefects, the nominated helpers, and even old Kent are in the hall, and I'm the only one there who came in school uniform. It's basically night time outside. The school heating hasn't even started up yet. I praise myself for putting on 2 pairs of tights this morning. Zelda, in leggings and running shoes and an oversized super dry hoodie, takes charge. Okay, team ops. Today's the day we're catching them, yeah? Everyone's got a separate area of the school. Patrol that area and call me if you find anything. Nothing's been done to the school since Friday, so there's a chance they won't turn up today. But we're going to do this until we feel that the school is safe, whether we end up catching anyone or not. Meet back in the hall at 8. Why did I even come here? The prefects begin to chat among themselves, and Zelda speaks to each person individually before sending them off into the unlit, unheated depths of the school. When she gets to me, she presents me with a piece of paper and says, Tori, you're patrolling the IT suites. Here's my number. I nod at her and go to walk off. Tori? Yeah? You look a bit... She doesn't finish her sentence. It's 7 a.m. She can piss off. I walk away, throwing the piece of paper in a bin as I pass it. I come to a halt upon finding Kent standing ominously by the hall entrance. Why me? I ask him, but he just raises his eyebrows and smiles at me, so I roll my eyes and walk away. Wandering around the school like this is peculiar. Everything's so still, serene, no air circulation. I'm walking through a freeze frame. The IT suite is in C block on the first floor. There are 6 computer rooms: C11, C12, C13, C14, C15, and C16. The usual whir of the suite is absent. The computers are all dead. I open up C11, switch on the lights, and repeat this for C12, C13, and C14 before giving up and taking a seat on a swivel chair inside C14. What does Kent even think he's doing involving me in this? As if I'm going to do any kind of patrolling. I kick the floor and spin. The world hurricanes around me. I don't know how long I do this, but when I stop to read the time, the clock waves in front of my eyes. When it calms down, I read 7:16 a.m. I wonder for at least the 16th time what I'm doing it. It is then that I hear a distant sound of the Windows booting up jingle. I get off my chair and step into the corridor. I look one way. I look the other. The corridor dissolves into darkness both ways, but out of the open door of C13 glares a hazy blue glow. I creep down the corridor and go inside. The interactive whiteboard is on the projector, wearing happily the Windows desktop on display. I stand before the board, staring into it. The desktop wallpaper is a sloped green field beneath the blue sky. The harder I stare, the wider the board seems to spread, wider and wider until the fake pixelated world invades my own. The computer that is linked to the screen hums. The door to the room shuts by itself, like I'm in Scooby-Doo. I run and grab the handle, but it's locked, and for a second I just stare at myself in the door window. Someone's locked me in an IT room, for God's sake. Stepping backwards, I see the board change in the blank monitor's reflections. I spin on the spot. The green field is gone. In its place is a blank page of Microsoft Word with the cursor flashing on and off. I try smashing at the keyboard of the computer that's hooked up to the board and wildly swishing the mouse across the table. Nothing happens. I'm starting to sweat. My brain isn't accepting this situation. I come up with 2 possibilities. 1. This is a sick joke by someone I know. 2. Solitaire. And that's when text rolls across the white screenscape. Attention Team Ops. Please refrain from panic and calm. Pause. What? Solitaire is a friendly neighbourhood watch organisation dedicated to aiding the adolescent population by targeting the most common cause of teenage anxiety. We are on your side. You should not be afraid of any action we will or will not take. We hope that you will support Solitaire's future actions and come to feel that school need not be a place of solemnity, stress and isolation. Someone is trying to deliberately freak the prefects out. As I'm not a prefect, I am choosing not to freak out. I don't know what I feel about this, but it definitely isn't freaked out. We leave you with a video that we hope will enlighten your morning. Solitaire. Patience kills. The page of text remains on screen for several seconds before Windows Media Player pops up in front of it. The cursor zooms to the play button and the video begins. The footage is kind of blurry, but you can make out 2 figures on a stage, one at a piano, one with a violin in her hands. The violinist holds her instrument up to her chin, raises her bow, and together the 2 begin to play. Only after the first 8 bars and after the camera has zoomed in do I realise that the musicians can be no more than 8 years old. I don't know what the piece of music is. It doesn't matter. Because sometimes I hear a piece of music and I can't do anything but sit there. Sometimes in the morning, the radio turns on, the song is playing, and it's so beautiful that I just have to lie there until it's over. Sometimes I'm watching a film and it's not even a sad scene, but the music is so sad that I can't help but cry. This is one of those times. Eventually the video ends and I just stand there. I guess Solitaire think they're being intellectual and deep, making us watch that video and writing with such eloquence like people who think that they're hilarious for using the word thus in school essays. It half makes me laugh and half makes me want to shoot them. The fact remains that C13's door is still locked and I'm still trapped here. I want to cry out, but I don't. I don't know what to do. I don't know what to do. I threw away Zelda's number like the idiot I am. I don't know anyone else here. I can't call Becky, she wouldn't come. Dad's at work, Mum's in her PJs, Charlie won't get to school for another 45 minutes. There is only one person who would help me. There is only one person who is going to believe me. I pull my phone out of my blazer pocket. Hello? Before I say anything else, I have a question. Tori? Oh my god, you actually called me. Are you a real person? I've been considering the possibility that Michael Holden is a figment of my imagination. This is probably because I failed to understand how someone with a personality like his could survive in this shitty world, and also because I failed to understand why someone with a personality like his would take any interest in a misanthropic, pessimistic asshole like myself. I found his number posted in my locker yesterday at lunchtime. It was written on one of those solitaire pink post-its with an arrow drawn on it, except now he'd added his phone number and a smiley face. I knew that it was Michael. Who else would it be? There's a long pause before he says, I promise, I swear that I am a completely real person. Here, on the earth, living and breathing. He waits for me to say something, and when I don't, he continues. And I can understand why you ask me that, so I'm not offended or anything. Okay, thanks for, clearing that up. I proceed to explain in the most nonchalant way I can muster that I'm locked in an IT classroom. Lucky for you that I decided to turn up to help today, he says. I knew something like this would happen. This is why I had to give you my number. You're totally a danger to yourself. And then he appears, strolling casually past, phone pressed to his ear, not even aware that I'm only meters from him. I pound my hand repeatedly on the door window. Michael reverses several steps, uncharacteristically frowning, and peers at me. Then he grins, hangs up the phone, and waves wildly. Tori, hey! Get me out, I say, laying my hand flat against the window. Are you sure it's locked? No, I just forgot how to open a door. I'll open it if you do something for me first. I bash the window several more times, as if he's some kind of animal and I'm trying to scare him into action. I quite literally do not have time for this. Just one thing. I stare at him, hoping that it's strong enough to paralyse, if not kill him. He shrugs at me, though I don't know why. Smile. I slowly shake my head. What is wrong with you? You don't understand what just happened to me. If you prove to me you have the capacity to smile, I will believe that you are a human being and I will let you out. He's completely serious. My hand drops. I could not be smiling any less than I am now. I hate you. No, you don't. Just let me out. You asked me if I was a real person. He adjusts his glasses and his voice suddenly quietens. It's unnerving. Did it occur to you that I might not believe that you are a real person? So I smile. I don't know what it ends up looking like, but I move my cheek muscles and wrench the sides of my mouth up a little to make the crescent moon shape with my lips. Michael's reaction reveals that he had not, in fact, expected me to do it. I immediately regret giving in. His eyes stretch wide and his own smile drops and is gone. Holy crap, he says. That was actually really difficult for you. I let it go. All right, we're both real. Turn the lock. And he does. We look at each other, and then I start to barge past him, but he steps in front of me, placing his hands on each side of the doorframe. What? I'm going to have a breakdown. This guy, Jesus Christ. Why were you locked in an IT room? He asks. His eyes are so wide. Is he concerned? What happened in there? I glance to one side. I don't really want to look him in the eyes. Solitaire hacked the whiteboard, sent round a message to the prefects and a video. Michael gasps like a cartoon. He removes his hands from the doorframe and places them on my shoulders. I cower backwards. What did it say? He asks, half amazed, half terrified. What was the video? In any other situation, I don't think I'd bother telling him. I mean, who cares, right? Go look for yourself, I mutter. I step back into the room and he skips around me towards the not-checked computer. It's just something stupid, I say, collapsing onto a swivel chair next to him. Anyway, you won't be able to do anything on that computer anyway. But Michael is moving the mouse totally normally, flying the cursor back towards the Word document. He reads the entire message aloud. Patience kills, he mumbles. Patience kills. He then insists that we watch the video, which I agree to mostly because I thought it was so lovely the first time. When it finishes, he says, You thought that was just something stupid? There's a pause. I can play the violin, I say. Seriously? Yeah. Well, not anymore. I stopped practicing a few years ago. Michael gives me this weird look, but then it's gone and suddenly he's impressed. You know, I bet they've hacked the whole school. That is absolutely outstanding. Before I have a chance to disagree, he's opened up Internet Explorer and typed in solitaire.co.uk. The Solitaire blog pops up with a new text post at the top of the screen. Michael breathes so loudly I can hear him. 30 minutes past midnight, 11th of January. Solitarians. The first Solitaire meetup will take place on Saturday, 22nd of January, 8 p.m. onwards, third house from the River Bridge. All are welcome. When I look up at Michael, he is carefully taking a photograph of the post on his phone. "This is gold," he says. "This is the best discovery I've made all day." "It's only 7:30, I say. "It's important to make lots of discoveries every day." He stands back up. That's what makes one day different from the next. If that statement is true, that explains a lot of things about my life. "You look so freaked out." Michael sits down in the chair next to me and leans forward so that his face is parallel to my own. "We made progress. Be excited." "Progress? Progress with what?" He frowns. "The Solitaire investigation. We have made a significant leap forward here." "Oh, you still don't sound excited." "Can you imagine me being excited about anything?" "Yes, I can, actually." I glare at his stupid, smug face. He starts tapping his fingers together. "Anyway," he says, "we're going to their meetup." "I hadn't thought about that." Are we?" Yeah, it's next Saturday. I will drag you there if I have to." "Why do you want to go? What is the point of this?" He opens his eyes very wide. "You aren't curious?" He's delusional. He's more delusional than I am, and that's saying something. Look," I say. "It's perfectly okay to hang out, like, if you want, but I don't care about Solitaire, and to be totally honest, I don't really want to get involved, so, yeah, sorry." He gives me a long look. "Interesting." I say nothing. "They locked you in this room," he says, "and you still don't care. Why not consider it this way? They're the evil criminal organisation, and you're Sherlock Holmes. I'll be John Watson. But we've got to be the Benedict Cumberbatch and Martin Freeman Sherlock and Watson because the BBC Sherlock is infinitely greater than all other adaptations." I stare at him. "It's the only adaptation that gets the bromance right." "You're a fangirl," I whisper with mock horror. Another pause in which I abruptly wonder whether the Sherlock fandom is right and there really is sexual tension between Sherlock Holmes and John Watson. Eventually we get up and leave, or at least I do, and he follows, shutting the door behind him. For the first time I realise that he's wearing just his shirt, tie and trousers, no jumper or blazer. "Aren't you cold?" I say. He blinks at me. His glasses are enormous. His hair is so neat that it's almost made of stone. "Why? Are you?" We head down the corridor, and after we've almost reached the end, I notice that Michael is no longer at my heels. I turn round. He stopped directly in front of C16 and opened it up. He frowns. It looks a little odd on his face. "What?" I ask. It takes him longer than it should to answer. "Nothing," he says. "I thought there would be something here, but there's nothing." Before I have a chance to question what the bloody hell he's talking about, someone behind me cries, "Tori!" I spin back round. Zelda is striding towards me with an expression on her face that will one day provide her with premature wrinkles. "Tori, have you found anything?" I think about whether to lie or not. "No, we didn't find anything, sorry." "What do you mean, we?" I turn back to Michael, or the space where Michael had been standing. But he's not there. Only then do I wonder what it really was that made him decide to turn up at school at 7:30 in the morning.